You're listening to the Infinite Banking Mastery Podcast. Did you know that you could build a tax-free pool of wealth that's liquid and accessible all your life while building your retirement nest egg? Gain full control of your financial future and stop relying on the government and banks. The wealthy have already discovered this wealth-building secret. Now it's your turn to get financially secure without following the conventional wisdom that keeps you in debt to banks. Now here's your host, Valerie LaRocque.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I wanted to talk today about income later on, how we can get income in retirement. Just another thing that I brought up before, but I thought I would go into it a little bit again today because it came to mind. I was reading Barry Dyke's book that I mentioned in my last podcast, The Retirement Ruse. I was reading some of that and it just brought up this topic again. And so I thought I would touch base on that, along with some insights from his book just in the very beginning that I've just started. But before that, I wanted to mention that someone reached out to me a few weeks ago, I think it was, sent me an email just to clarify that when he takes out loans from his policy, it's a smooth process for him. He can see what he needs to online and also do what he needs to online. He can process the loan or request it. And so he mentioned it would be a good idea just to remind everyone again that not all insurance companies are the same, which is what I was trying to kind of get across on my podcast, that some companies are further along in the technology department than other companies. The one that he works with is with just one that I chose not to get appointed with. And the ones that I'm working with have just been a little slower when it comes to the technology side, but they are catching up and they have some of these things available. And I can tell that soon it will be easy with everybody. All the companies are getting on board with online processing and being able to request your loans online and repay them online. And so you'll have more control over that soon with every company. Just wanted to clarify, since he reached out, that not all companies are the same. Some are further along when it comes to technology and some are a little farther behind. But mutual companies, they're all still great. I wasn't trying to make it sound overly complicated. I just wanted to give a little more insight into the companies I choose to work with, because although they have the ability to do much online, there's some areas where they haven't gotten all the kinks worked out just yet. But it's coming. And you just want to make sure you're working with a mutual company who sees you as an owner of the company, a co-owner of your policy. I would say that no company is perfect in every department. Some process loans faster, some have better customer service. But as long as you have a mutual company and you have an advisor or an agent who knows what they're doing and who knows how to design your policy well and customize it for you, that's the most important thing. That and you being an honest banker and how you treat the policy, how you bank with the policy. That's the most important. So now we'll get to the actual topic I wanted to go over for today's podcast. One of the things that I read in Barry Dyke's new book, The Retirement Ruse, is how he says that doing the opposite of what Wall Street does and what the media recommends will likely be in your best interest. I just kind of like that statement and thought I would share it. Clearly, Barry Dyke doesn't have any love for Wall Street at all. Another statement he said was having all of one's retirement savings in the Wall Street 401k retirement casino certainly does not create financial serenity or reduce stress. Only in the United States can one work hard and save diligently in a 401k for 15 to 20 years, and within 30 days, watch that 401k retirement plan lose 20 or 30% of its value. And I feel it's true. I'm able to help people in this area as well for clients who choose to be in the market or still diversify in that way. I always tell everyone, I feel that learning about whole life is so important. Learning how you can save into this vehicle, learning how it has guarantees in place, how you can access cash tax-free and all the other benefits of these other riders that you can add on to them. I've always just thought this should be foundational learning for everybody. I feel like this should be knowledge that everyone just understands or learns in school. This should be one of the foundational ways that we are taught to save in this country. That is my perspective, because I think it's very important not to have all of your money at risk. And that's what this country kind of promotes is, certain plans are called retirement plans. That's where you're supposed to save your money. And I think it's dangerous to have all your money at risk, and not only at risk within the market with market volatility, but also with tax rate risk, because that money will be taxable, those retirement funds, unless it's a Roth IRA. As I mentioned in earlier podcasts, or at least the first one that I recorded, I was at a major broker-dealer in 2008 when the market tanked. And I just remember at that time looking around me and thinking, wow, out of all these advisors in the room, not a single one of us helped anybody not lose roughly 40% of their account value. It didn't matter how diversified they were. It didn't matter. None of that mattered. Everybody lost a large chunk of money. And I just wondered, how are we helping people here? How is this helping people when we can do a great job and do great due diligence and do our best for each client? But at the end of the day, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And so you can have done a great job, and then right up until they need it, and like happened to so many people who were ready to retire tomorrow and all of a sudden lost almost 50%, like 40% of their account value. Now they feel like they can never retire. That's why I feel it's so important to diversify into safer avenues, safer ways where you have guarantees in place, where you can count on that money being there when you need it. I read that out of 143 countries, the United States is one of the top 10 stressed out countries in the world. That is crazy to me. We have everything we need here. We can do anything. We have the comforts of life, and yet we're all stressed out. And actually, I'm going to put in this little side note that I never considered myself to be a stressed out person. I feel like, oh, I can handle it all. I feel great. It just gives me adrenaline. Let's go. Let's get it done. But I do get headaches on occasion, maybe once a month, twice a month. And so I was seeing a physical therapist for that. And so he started teaching me how to kind of just release, put your shoulders down, release your shoulders. And I learned that actually, if I had a headache coming on, I can just lower my shoulders and stop hiking them up, and the headache goes away. It's happened numerous times. And I'm thinking, wow, all these years I've been dealing with these headaches, and actually all I need to do is relax. Who would have thought? I guess we're just stressed out, like they said in the US. Such an easy and very obvious thing, and yet it didn't dawn on me. I did not figure it out until someone told me. So if you happen to get headaches all the time like I do, I would try that. So anyhow, back to what I was talking about with Barry and the retirement ruse. He thinks that at least 50% should be invested in annuities or saved into life insurance contracts. And I definitely wouldn't argue with that. I have the majority of my own savings in life insurance contracts. For some reason, though, people are often uncertain about annuities. I've talked to clients before. They saw something in the news, maybe how an elderly person had the wrong type of annuity. That was bad for them. They blow it up in the news, and now they're frightened of annuities. And isn't that just the thing, too? There's always someone out there doing something that they shouldn't be doing that ruins it for everybody else who are trying to help people. So you got to look past that. Annuities are actually really great. There are different types, but these annuities allow you to basically create your own pension. Create a pension for yourself. Now remember, pensions are accounts that will pay you your entire lifetime, and they also will offer to pay through your life and your spouse's life. So you would choose then if you want them to pay through only your life only, or you and a spouse. The payout, of course, it will be lower if it's paying through two lives, and higher if it's paying just through your life only. So you can create something like this for yourself using an annuity. There are different types of annuities, and so not every annuity is a great fit for every person at every age. Different products serve different purposes, and so depending on your age and what you're trying to accomplish, or if you're ready to start working on creating a pension or an income stream that you cannot outlive, then that will guide the conversation to know what might be a good fit for you. So there's just people out there who are setting people up with the wrong type for their age or for their goals. And so that's how they get a bad rap. But actually, they are pretty great. The thing is, for a person to say they hate annuities, and they would really just have to say that they hate pensions and hate Social Security, because that's exactly what an annuity is doing for you, the exact same thing. With an annuity product that's designed for future income, your account value can go all the way to $0, and you will still receive income through both your and your spouse's life if that's how you set it up. Now, this account will pay through two lives. However, that would be two spouses. You can't put a child on there with you or something and expect it to pay out through your and your child's life. Now, if you put you and a spouse, and you pass away before the money gets spent through, then the balance, the difference, would go to a beneficiary. As most of you are aware, I'm sure, pensions are definitely a dying breed. And if you have one, you should consider yourself blessed or lucky. It's a much better retirement plan option than a 401k, 403b, IRA by far. Of course, oftentimes these are taxable as well, especially if you're rolling a retirement account into an annuity. It's going to be taxable. So you'll still have the tax rate risk, which is where the life insurance comes in, that you can access tax-free. Your advisor definitely needs to have a good financial picture of where you are and where you want to be able to put together the best plan for you with either annuities or life insurance or both or whatever it is you're doing all together. I think annuities and life insurance products go hand in hand. It just depends on what assets you've already built up, what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve to understand what is the right fit for you. Now, back to Barry's book. I thought I would simply quote what I read at the end of just the introduction of his new book again, Retirement Ruse. He said a lot. He says a whole lot in just the introduction, which I thought was super interesting. I thought, wow, we're not even in chapter 1 yet. Okay. He says, the facts speak for themselves. The wealth transfer to the elite and the wealth destruction of the middle class has become apocalyptical. This book is a result of thousands of hours of research. I am a voracious reader and researcher, and I have boiled down my research from public filings, press releases, government reports, securities filings, and numerous subscriptions. I have accumulated this data over more than a decade of work. What you will see are 4 trends of the crony capitalist state, wherein other people's money is being gambled with reckless abandon and non-existent consequences. And let me tell you, he just launches right in from there. One interesting fact I'll mention from chapter 1 is where he starts talking about stock buybacks, which were apparently illegal for almost 5 decades, but since they have become quite popular. These stock buybacks are sometimes funded with corporate debt. So to put it more simply, some companies are going into debt to buy back their own stock. And I thought this was crazy, that the biggest buyers of stocks, in the US anyway, are companies buying back their own shares, not individuals wanting to invest or pension funds, but companies buying back their own stock. I just think that's nuts. There are stock buybacks going on that use shareholder money to buy back the stock, which benefits the top executives. This has been happening more and more over the years. So as I continue to read, I will bring to the podcast things that I believe will be interesting or helpful to you, highlights that I get from the book that I think you would find interesting. Well, thank you again, once again, for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing the podcast. Thanks for your feedback. And thank you for reaching out. I love talking to and meeting each and every one of you that reach out to me for help. So if you feel like you might be the next one who's ready to move forward and ready to learn about the infinite banking concept and how it might apply best to your life, and you would want to partner with me as your advisor and coach, feel free to reach out at Valerie@alphaomegawealth.com. I look forward to meeting you and hope that you have a great week. Take care.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.